What if I told you there's a country where wars almost never happen, where trains arrive almost to the second, where people trust each other so much that they leave expensive goods outside their homes, and where some of the world's tallest mountains stand beside crystal clear lakes that look too beautiful to be real? This is Switzerland, a country that's often called heaven on earth. But behind the breathtaking scenery lies a story far more incredible than most people ever imagine. Today, I'm taking you on an unforgettable journey through the heart of Switzerland, a nation that transformed itself from a land of poor mountain farmers into one of the richest, safest, and most admired countries on the planet. This isn't just a travel documentary. This is the extraordinary story of how Switzerland became a global symbol of peace, innovation, and excellence. Let's begin. Thousands of years ago, long before luxury watches, Swiss chocolate, and world-famous banks existed, the land we now call Switzerland was covered with thick forests, icy mountains, and wild rivers. Life here was brutally difficult. The people who lived in these valleys fought freezing winters, dangerous cliffs, and constant food shortages. Every single day was a battle for survival. Most outsiders looked at these mountains and saw nothing but obstacles. But the people living here saw opportunity. They learned to climb impossible peaks, build homes on steep hillsides, and create communities where neighbors depended on each other for survival. That spirit of resilience would eventually shape the entire nation. Then came one of history's greatest powers, the mighty Roman Empire. When the Romans arrived around the 1st century BC, they built roads through the Alps, established towns, and connected Switzerland to the rest of Europe. For centuries, Roman culture influenced the region. But after the empire collapsed, chaos returned. Different kingdoms fought for control, and the peaceful mountain communities found themselves trapped between powerful rulers. Life wasn't easy, yet something remarkable was about to happen. In 1291, 3 small mountain regions made a decision that would change history forever. Instead of fighting each other, they formed an alliance. They promised to protect one another against outside enemies. It was a simple agreement between ordinary people. No one realized this tiny alliance would eventually become modern Switzerland. Over the next several centuries, more regions joined the Confederation. Together they defended their freedom against powerful empires that believed these mountain people could never survive. Again and again, Switzerland proved them wrong. One of the greatest examples came during the Battle of Morgarten in 1315. Outnumbered and poorly equipped, Swiss fighters used their knowledge of the mountains to defeat a much larger Austrian army. The victory shocked Europe. The impossible had happened. The world began to realize these mountain communities were far stronger than anyone had imagined. As time passed, Switzerland became known not only for bravery but also for independence. While Europe was constantly torn apart by wars, kings, and revolutions, Switzerland slowly developed a different identity. Instead of expanding through conquest, it focused on unity. Instead of creating an empire, it built trust. This unique path helped shape one of the most stable democracies in history. But peace didn't mean life was easy. Most Swiss families remained poor for centuries. The Rocky Mountains made farming incredibly difficult. People had to invent new ways to survive. And that's exactly what they did. Swiss craftsmen became masters of precision. Tiny villages began producing clocks and mechanical instruments unlike anything the world had ever seen. Their attention to detail became legendary. Eventually, Swiss watches became symbols of perfection. Not because they were expensive, but because they were incredibly reliable. That same commitment to excellence spread into every part of Swiss society. Their roads, their railways, their schools, their businesses, even their government. Everything was built with patience, discipline, and extraordinary care. Then came another turning point. Banks. During times of political instability across Europe, people wanted a safe place to protect their wealth. Switzerland earned a reputation for security, neutrality, and privacy. Soon, money from around the world flowed into Swiss banks. The country became one of the world's financial capitals. Yet Switzerland never relied on just one industry. It became a global leader in medicine, pharmaceuticals, engineering, scientific research, and advanced manufacturing. Some of the world's biggest discoveries and innovations came from this small country hidden among the Alps. And perhaps most remarkably, Switzerland stayed neutral during both world wars. While much of Europe was devastated by destruction, Swiss cities remained largely untouched. Neutrality wasn't always easy. It required difficult decisions, constant preparation, and a strong military defense despite avoiding conflict. But it allowed Switzerland to become a place where diplomacy could flourish. Today, leaders from around the world meet in Swiss cities to discuss peace, resolve conflicts, and shape international cooperation. A tiny nation became one of the world's greatest meeting places. And then there's the beauty. The Alps stretch across the country like nature's greatest masterpiece. Snow-covered peaks rise above emerald valleys. Ancient villages sit beside lakes so clear they reflect the mountains like mirrors. Every season transforms Switzerland into a completely different world. Spring fills the valleys with colorful flowers. Summer brings hikers from every corner of the globe. Autumn paints the forests with gold and crimson. Winter turns the mountains into one of Earth's greatest skiing destinations. But perhaps Switzerland's greatest achievement isn't its wealth, or its banks, or its chocolate, or even its breathtaking scenery. It's the extraordinary culture of trust. Lost wallets often find their way back to their owners. Public transportation runs with astonishing precision. Communities value responsibility over chaos. People believe that every citizen plays a role in protecting the country. That simple philosophy has helped Switzerland become one of the happiest, safest, and most prosperous nations on Earth. From humble mountain villages to global influence, from survival to success, Switzerland proves that greatness doesn't always come from size. Sometimes, it comes from discipline, from unity, from patience, and from never giving up, even when surrounded by mountains. Because in the end, Switzerland didn't just conquer the Alps. It conquered the impossible.